What's going on, guys? I hope you all are doing well today, and welcome to a new episode of The Beauty of. And today I'm going to be talking about the beauty of Jaws. You guys have been liking this series so far, so I'm going to keep doing it. Jaws from 1975 is an adventure movie directed by the greatest filmmaker of all time, in my opinion, Steven Spielberg, involving a 25-foot great white shark that's been treating Amity Island as if it was a fine dining establishment. And after consuming a young girl, a dog, and a little boy, it's up to Chief Brody and Matt Hooper, as well as Quint, to kill the shark. And the beauty of Jaws to me is personally part of it is the subtlety in this movie. They don't show you the shark at all in the beginning of the movie. And that was actually not even the intention either. They wanted to initially show you the shark, but they couldn't get the shark to work properly, as in every time they'd put it in the water it just sink to the bottom. When but Steven Spielberg, he figured out a way to make it work and be cohesive without the shark. And I think the movie was actually better off that way. You really get the idea put into your head in the beginning after Chrissy Watkins' death that we're dealing with something big here. Something big and extraordinary and, dare I say, borderline something that maybe survived the prehistoric age if you really want to get deep about it. But you get this sense of dread after that scene as well. That there's something just really big out in that water just waiting for you to get more than waist deep in. Our main character here is Chief Brody, played by the great Roy Scheider. It's a very interesting character because you can tell that he has a problem. And so it's something that I've kind of pointed out. I don't know if anybody else has ever noticed, but kind of has a drinking problem, and he goes all out in the dinner scene where he just pours an entire standard glass, not a wine glass, a standard glass of the red wine that Hooper brought to the house for dinner, and it almost makes me question why it's mentioned in the movie that the Brodies have left New York to move to Amity Island, and I've always wondered why. And I think it could be linked to Brody's alcoholism. Could Brody have potentially lost his job on a police force back home due to the alcoholism? It's these subtle hints that are brilliant to me, or beautiful rather. That's how I interpret. That's how I interpret that. Is that maybe that's Brody's history, and I don't know if they kind of touch up. I can't remember if they kind of touch up on that in Jaws 2, which fuck that movie anyway. This movie to me isn't really as much about the shark as it's a Chief Brody movie to me. But where I think the movie is truly beautiful is the scene where the little boy gets eaten, and I know that sounds really evil, but that's not how I mean it. But the scene is so dreadful in the sense that it just gets your heart beating. What I really like here is that they try to fake you out by having Brody on edge the whole time, and he's constantly looking in the water while people are trying to talk to them. But then you have the chick that starts screaming, but it turns out to just be your boyfriend messing with her. When we get a lot of underwater shots, which I'm a huge fan of that. We get a lot of shots, and you see everybody swimming around, and everybody's having a good time. But the underwater shots express to you that the shark is there. It's present, and it's making you aware, and the underwater stuff, the shots underwater really create a chilling atmosphere, and it makes me wonder how big this shark is due to the fact that we haven't seen the shark yet. But once you see the camera dart towards the little boy Alex Kittner's raft, his water raft that he was swimming on, you see the big fin splashing around, and the kid getting just absolutely devoured by the shark, and there's blood all in the water shooting up. Then he gets dragged underwater with the sound of him screaming underwater. It's just brutal. And there's actually the deleted scene where that they actually, I don't know if they got the shark to work, but you see the shark just come down and chomp down on this kid. This movie is just, oh, this movie's grim, man, for a PG movie. Then later, when the guys go out shark hunting and they bring back the wrong shark, which is a tiger shark and not a Carcharodon carcharias, which is a great white shark, Hooper and Brody talk to the mayor, and the mayor says something along the line. I'm paraphrasing here, but along the lines of, "I'd rather you not cut the shark open and have everyone witness that Kittner boy spilling out all over the dock. And it's like, man, that's just such a grim thing to say in this situation, and it really, for a PG film, that's pretty grim. Of course, the rating system was a lot different back then, but yeah, that's just such a horrible thing for the mayor to say. But you also gotta realize that in this first film, uh, the mayor doesn't really seem like he has a lot of regard for human life, where they kind of make him correct that in the second film. But we even get more suspense when Brody and Hooper go out to Ben Gardner's boat and find a ginormous tooth in the side of the boat. And of course, that corpse of Ben Gardner that pops out and scares us. That whole scene is just wonderfully crafted. It just has great atmosphere. And, I believe, going back to the whole mayor thing, I believe Larry is kind of the secondary antagonist, as, making a profit off the tourism takes priority over the citizens of Amity's well being. And it really affects Brody when his own son is attacked by the shark, which then forces the mayor to permit him, and along with Quentin Hooper, to kill the shark. And Quint, this is where I think the film reaches its peak brilliance. Robert Shaw is a phenomenal. He is phenomenal as Quint, and his dynamic with Hooper is actually really funny, and it feels real because Robert Shaw didn't really like Richard Dreyfuss in real life. Quint is the town fisherman, so he knows what it takes to kill this beast, or so he thinks. And they do everything Quint's way to shoot the shark with harpoons, with barrels attached to him. And for those of you that may not know what the point of the barrels were, the barrels, they use the barrels to that they shoot the harpoons that attaches to the shark, and they use the barrels to tire out the shark and drag him up to the surface when he starts getting tired. And that would normally take about one barrel. Well, they shot three barrels in this shark, and the freaking shark drug the barrels down underwater. So what all is a shark capable of? And let's talk about the USS Indianapolis scene. The scene is just a masterpiece on its own. And the story that Quint tells about the sharks eating the sailors is just chilling to the bone. Where he talks about the sharks laying their teeth into them and those black eyes roll over white. It just almost really creates a sense of disdain for sharks for Quint himself. And seeing his fellow sailors be devoured by tiger sharks, and yes, they were tiger sharks, unlike that stupid movie with Nicolas Cage where they made the sharks great whites. Just an awful movie. Don't watch it. But yeah, that scene is just pure, perfect art to me. Quint does eventually have to come to the realization that his old school fisherman's ways, his tactics of dealing with sharks, just aren't cutting the mustard here. So he caves in and takes Hooper's more scientific approach to this with his tools and whatnot, and his medicines of him getting into the cage, going underwater, and sticking him with, I can't remember if it was an explosive or it was a poison. I think it was poison. Uh, but that doesn't work as we expect, and nothing seems to really be working here. And Hooper, who is actually eaten alive in the novel, he was not eaten in the film. But the shark attacks Quentin Brody, jumps up, and borderline starts sinking the boat. And it's actually sad how Quint dies, that he survived the USS Indianapolis, but has met his fate at the teeth of this shark. And we all know the classic ending, the smile you son of a bitch line. Brody pulls the trigger, hits the oxygen tank. Shark explodes, which would never happen in real life, but I don't care. It's awesome. Jaws, to me, is just another masterpiece of suspense and terror. And it almost got me wanting to go deeper into this and find out what the shark's actual name is Bruce, but what was really this animal? Is it just a freak of nature? Does it just happen to be a big giant shark, or is this something prehistoric that's been lurking in the ocean for a long time, just waiting for a feast? Like, what was this thing? And it gets me thinking about stuff like that, and then I just also have to realize that this is just an excellently crafted film. A horror film, adventure film. I kind of view it as an adventure horror film, but Jaws, It's just another perfect film to me, and that is the beauty of Jaws. So I hope you guys like this episode of The Beauty of. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'm out. Peace.